welcome. It is nice to see all of your smiling faces. That's what they used to say on Romper Room. We're all in our places with nice shiny faces or smiling places. I don't know, but I liked Romper Room back in the day. Hey, welcome. We got a lot to get into. Can you explain something to me? Nikola Jokic goes for 34, 21 rebounds, and 14 assists last night. They win. The Nuggets do 132 to 126. And how does Mark Jackson still not have Nikola Jokic, my Serbian brother, on his top 5 NBA most valuable players? I can't get over it. I really can't. Racism sucks. Shouldn't be in our culture. Certainly shouldn't be in sports. And yet there is the only reason that you can go. But let's get into that game. Be careful here. Be very careful. I want to explain this to you, and this goes more than just basketball with the Nuggets and the Lakers. This goes to basketball across the board. I talk about this all the time. So, 20-point lead. Now, pay attention because you're going to think about this once the college basketball season starts, Jennifer, and all of you on the YouTube chat. You're going to think about this. 20-point lead for the Nuggets against the Lakers last night. And part of that 20-point lead was throwing in crap. Jokic throws in some crap right before, I believe it was the halftime buzzer. Porter throws in crap. Murray throws in crap. And they win by 6. Uh-oh. See, as a coach, you're going, all right, we were up 1-0. Hashimura switched to Jokic, held him to 20% shooting when they took Davis off of Jokic. That was the adjustment Darvin Ham made. And Jokic is throwing in garbage. Porter from the corner with a guy all in him throws in garbage. Murray throws in 2 last second at the shot clock buzzer garbage, and we only win by 6. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That is how a coach looks at things, and that's how you should look at things at halftime when you watch your favorite college basketball team, because that's the real deal. Like, if they'd have won by 20 but they threw in garbage, you'd still be concerned, but you won by 6. Throwing in crapola. What if the 3 from Jokic doesn't go in? What if the 3 from Porter doesn't go in? And those are about 10% shots, maybe. That's how you look at hoops, ladies and gentlemen. All right, the draft lottery last night. I don't know what to tell you. I gotta tell you, ESPN's lost its mind. They have absolutely lost its mind on Victor. Victor goes to the Spurs. It's reminiscent of David Robinson. It's reminiscent of who else? Tim Duncan, that's right. Big guy's number 1 pick going to the Spurs. See, here in Indiana, we had a 6.8% chance. We end up getting the 7th pick, and our writers wrote, whoa, Victor Wembanyama could change the entire world. Stop the clickbait. And just be truthful. You had barely a chance, Indianapolis, and I'm sad about it because I would have liked to see him here. But this kid, it's amazing the hype around this kid. I don't know if he can play or not. He's going to have to develop a certain skill set that serves him all the time. Kobe Bryant had to get to a certain spot. Michael Jordan got on the block. Magic Johnson hit 3s. I don't know what Bird had to develop. He was just really good. I don't know what Isaiah had to develop. But those 2 guys had to develop stuff. LeBron, a post game. But here's the deal. All right? They called him the most highly anticipated player to enter the NBA draft since LeBron. I'll give you that. But then our guy Woj, who because he gathers information from others, is seen now as a basketball guru. Maybe, Woj said, the greatest prospect in the history of team sport. Wow. I got to tell you, I don't know, man. I think Wilt Chamberlain coming out, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar coming out, I don't know. I feel like if you've really paid attention to the NBA, you better have a certain skill set. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar coming out of UCLA with the sky hook, he could jump this freaking high, he could shoot, he could pass it. I don't know. Maybe the greatest, I want you to think about this. Maybe it's qualified, the greatest prospect in the history Not of the NBA, of team sport. Wow. I got to think Gretzky was a pretty good prospect. No, maybe not. I don't know. I don't remember. I know Gretzky was here. I know Gretzky was in Indy. I know people that lived next to Gretzky when he was a kid living with a family, and they loved Gretzky. But this little skinny guy who had 22 and 11 in some Paris Pro League the other day is the greatest prospect in the history of team sport. Wow. Woo, baby. Hey, right over here lives Pat McAfee. And right over there is the Pat McAfee Thunderdome. Congratulations to Pat McAfee. Congratulations also to ESPN for being smart enough to get Pat McAfee on there. Look, yesterday ESPN had their quote up fronts, which means they get all these stars, they get in front, it's Disney's thing, all the advertisers are there, and they're basically selling how great their programming is. Name me one eminently likable ESPN personality. Name me one. All right? Name me one. I'll tell you, there isn't one. L. Duncan got up there. Nothing likable about here. Stephen A. Smith, nothing likable. Polarizing. Name me one. You can't. McAfee is likable. McAfee is polarizing in a way because he has a past, which is great. People in middle America love him because he's likable. He gets great interviews. He gets everybody to want to come on his show. Will it stay on ESPN the same way without swearing and ESPN's groupthink? I think so. I do. I think ESPN's pretty good. I think ESPN is smart. I think ESPN and McAfee's a perfect fit. And look, Pat's show on streaming is fantastic. It's going to stay on streaming. Okay, they said that Pat retains full creative control. No change in format. It follows Get Up and First Take. He can't swear nearly as much. It's going to air on ESPN, ESPN Plus, and ESPN YouTube. The fact that it airs on ESPN is a monster as the Big Ten guy, because our Big Ten Tuesdays, all of a sudden, were always on ESPN2. As they were going away from the Big Ten, now there is no Big Ten on ESPN, and morphing towards the SEC because they got the rights to the SEC. There's a whole lot involved here with TV, but Pat was genius getting his show on ESPN. Everything else is great. ESPN Plus, ESPN YouTube. Pat has a huge following on YouTube. We're the fastest growing morning show on YouTube. It's great. YouTube is awesome. YouTube is the future. And Pat talked about it at the upfronts yesterday, saying, hey, look, this is today morphing with tomorrow, because where shows like ours, the space that our shows are in, which is growing, growing, growing. We can reach millions of people. So long story short, the idea is simple. Pat McAfee and ESPN, perfect. I said this before. Pat saved game day. I think Herb Street got mad at me. Maybe he did, maybe, I don't know. He sent me a text after I went on a rant about how dull ESPN's game day had gotten and how interesting it got with Pat. And he sent me a text saying how he loved my honesty. And maybe it was real, maybe it was facetious, I don't know. But Herbie is a really good guy. But are these guys likable? I saw Jay Billis yesterday, and he's sitting there like this, talking about the NBA draft. It's supposed to be fun. Church. Scott Skiles said it famously. You know what? Basketball, well, he said basketball is like church. Forgive me. Many attend, few understand. It's a great line. But I watch these guys, and they act like this is church. Stephen A. Smith, the reason that show on ESPN's Countdown doesn't work, NBA Countdown, is because you got two guys, Smith and Wilbon, who are humorless. They have no basketball chops. And then you got a guy like Jalen Rose, who, frankly, is a terrible teammate. There's nothing about Jalen Rose that you could compare to Shaq, or you could compare to Kenny, or you can compare to Charles that brings guys together that you'd sit there and laugh with. They're humorless people, all trying to prove they're the smartest guy in the room, and that doesn't work. It absolutely does not work. It can be quiet. It cannot work. It will not work. It shan't work. It doesn't work. So you watch Charles and you watch Kenny and you watch Shaq and you laugh. It's like a bunch of dudes that are enjoying themselves calling games. You watch these idiots and it's like, my God, this is awful. What are we doing? Like, where are we at here? So Pat gets to retain full creative control. That's important. Now, he's not, because ESPN will put certain parameters on it because the FCC does. I don't think we're really regulated by the FCC here. We're regulated more by YouTube rules, all right? No change in format. They shouldn't. You see it right there. It's awesome. All right? Following Get Up and First Take, it's perfect. Because according to ESPN, Get Up and First Take are up 5 and 6%. That's great. Don't drop the F-bomb nearly as much. That's fine. You can always bleep it out. And, of course, it's going to air. It's fantastic. I can't wait to talk to Seth Greenberg today. I can't. Because nobody understands coaching. Nobody understands the NBA better than Seth Greenberg. And coaching in the NBA is nuts. So here goes Doc Rivers. He is out again. How many jobs has Doc Rivers had? He's become the modern-day Larry Brown. But the thing about it is, you knew Doc Rivers' days were numbered in Philadelphia when what happened? Can you tell me? I'll hang up and listen. Can you tell me when you knew Doc Rivers' days were numbered? They were numbered when James Harden, when answering a question about his relationship with Doc Rivers, simply said, it's okay. It's okay. He didn't say, hey, look, I really want this guy back. He didn't say that. No, it's okay. And he said it in such a way that you knew it really wasn't okay. Now, if you're acquiescing to James Harden, you're not winning anything. You're just not. You're paying him $35 million. You're doing all of the things that, you know what, at the end of the day, you're doing all of the things that you want to do. All right, ESPN is not a broadcast network, not subject to FCC on content, but McAfee is subject to Disney on content now, and that is much worse. That's from the great Gary. Here's the deal. The deal is simple. Gary Schreiner is our boss. Gary Schreiner knows everything about everything, and when he sends me that, so McAfee is bound by contract to Disney, so he's going to have to be smart about it. But his ratings are going to skyrocket. I mean, him getting to follow us is huge. You know that. If he were still on at the same time, he and I made an agreement. We're not going to go on at the same time. That's not true. We were on at the same time. Anyway, all right, let's talk about Ja Morant. So Ja Morant now is taking accountability. I take accountability for my stupid. Well, Adam Silver was asked about it. Adam Silver was, hey, look, what do you think? What do you think is going on here? What happened when you met with Ja Morant? Here's Adam Silver talking about his reaction to the latest Ja Morant incident.
What did you say to him about how much more severe it would be if he did this again?
Well, we talked directly about the consequences first before we got to a subsequent potential to have done something wrong. We were very focused on the misconduct that was in front of us at the time. And frankly, most of our conversation was about how incredibly serious the first incident was of waving, a firearm on social media. And again, and the consequences there, an 8-game suspension was pretty serious and something that he, at least to me, seemed to take incredibly seriously in that time. And we spoke for a long time about not just the consequences that could have on his career, but the safety issues around it. Could have injured, maimed, killed himself, someone else with an act like that. And also the acknowledgement that, as you said, he's a star. I mean, he has an incredibly huge following. Yeah. And that my concern, and I thought he shared with me, that millions, if not tens of millions of kids globally would see him as having done something that was celebrating in a way. You know, that act of using a firearm in that fashion. And so I at least was left with the sense that he was taking this incredibly seriously. So honestly, I was shocked when I saw this weekend that video. Now, we're in the process of investigating it, and we'll figure out exactly what happened to the best we can then. It's the video's a bit grainy and all that, but I'm assuming the worst, you know, but we'll figure out, you know, exactly what happened there.
And you Twitter idiots were mad at Ms. Andrews for asking that question? You guys were mad at her for saying, hey, Malika, don't be asking that question. No, we can only let the idiots in this world run so many things, and you can't run a question from a reporter about an idiot NBA superstar brandishing a gun. You can't do it. I won't have it. I won't allow it in this space. That's a new word that everybody says. In this space. Look, Malika Andrews asked the absolute right question. She did. I mean, you can like Malika Andrews. You can not like Malika Andrews. You can do whatever you want with Malika Andrews. But she asked the absolute right question right there because, frankly, we all want to know what the commissioner is going to do. We all feel like the commissioner is one of those guys that would acquiesce to players, right? We all feel like he's one of those guys that would be like, well, you know, and he did qualify it. I have a tendency to listen to everything. It's a flaw of mine. He did qualify it by saying, well, it's a little grainy. And he's right. There it is. It is a little grainy. But there's no disputing what transpired here. It was a gun. Now, he may say it was a toy gun. He may say it was a water gun. I don't know. But he did. The one thing that Silver did do is he did qualify. And those words are important because that gives him a skosh of an out. Just a little bit. We'll see what happens. But I got to imagine, based on that interview, and also when he was talking, I happened to be looking at him, because I do believe in looking at body language. I do believe in this type of thing. You know what? Let's see what they're saying as much as let's hear what they're saying. And what I saw out of Adam Silver was disgust and like one of those deals like, I just can't believe I'm dealing with this stupid again. I can't believe I'm dealing with this idiocy again. That's what I saw at Adam Silver. Now, you may have seen differently, and that's cool. But that's exactly what I saw out of Adam Silver. It is. Hey, by the way, my Serbian brother, Joakim Lokic is what I was going to say, right? Nikola Jokic was asked after the game if, in fact, his game compares to LeBron James. How about that? Let's see and hear from my Serbian brother, Nikola Jokic.
Nikola, KCP said the only difference between you and LeBron is that he can jump higher than you. Do you feel like your games are similar?
That's a really offensive. I'm joking. I mean, to be compared with one of the best ever, or the best ever, I think it's really cool. It's really cool, but I don't know. I think we don't have a similar game. Maybe we have a similar global game, if that makes any sense. We affect the game in different ways, but he's a really good player.
Yeah, he's a pretty good player. They're both pretty good players. By the way, thank you, LeBron. I took him 24.5 over last night, got it done. But I'm telling you right now, watch this, because a 6-point win when you're throwing in, Jokic did, Porter did, Murray did, you're throwing in crap at the end of shot clock buzzers, and you only win by 6 at home, and you played great for most of the game. That's interesting. All right. We all know, and we've said this on the show about Draymond Green's punch with Jordan Poole. We all know, and we said this, that they never really recovered from that. Only 11 wins on the road all year. I think it was 11-30 was what the Golden State Warriors were. Why that's important is when you go on the road, you're together, you're by yourself, blah, 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 blah. Curry bailed them out in a Game 7. but they did not get to where they wanted to get. They fell apart at the end. And Steve Kerr, the coach of the Golden State Warriors, I thought was really good in this video clip we're going to give you about Draymond Green's importance to the team, certainly important, but the punch and the ramifications of the punch between Poole and Draymond Green. Let's hear from Kerr.
If Draymond's not back, we're not a championship contender. We know that. I mean, he's that important to winning and to who we are. So I absolutely want him back. He's a competitor. He's an incredible defensive player. We can check all these boxes, and he and I have built a really special relationship that has run the gamut. Over the years, we've had our share of run-ins, but we've been through so much. We really care about each other and work together well. He knows that he had a great season this year from a basketball perspective, but he knows that he also compromised things by what happened back in October. And so part of him coming back next year has to be about rebuilding some of that trust and respect that he's earned here, for a long period of time. And one thing I love about Draymond is he's always brutally honest, and he can take that sort of critique because he knows it's the truth. So I want him back. I think we all want him back, and hopefully that's exactly what happens. And we get ready to make another run next year.
Yeah, he's right. I mean, look, they're not a championship team without Draymond Green, and it did hurt their chemistry. That punch was ridiculous. Green is ridiculous. Green is getting more and more ridiculous. Green is morphing into more of a cartoon character than he is a basketball player. His offense has regressed, if that's possible. What that means is he really hasn't worked on it. What that means is, yeah, he works on his body. Yeah, he's a terrific defender. Yes, he's a terrific floor game guy. But you know what? When you go on the road and you're Jordan Poole and you're stuck in an elevator with Draymond Green, you're like, hey, man, I don't know what to tell you. That punch destroyed this dynasty. And everybody on your television, I heard it this morning from that clown Tim Hardaway and others, no, the dynasty's not over, blah, blah. No, it is. It's over. And they're going to have to redesign it. And they know it's over. They knew when that punch hit that they were just going to have to get through a season. Now, everybody can disagree with me, but you watch what I'm saying. If Draymond Green is there next year and they don't add somebody like, I don't know, you name it, like somebody really good and get rid of Jordan Poole, you're not doing anything. You're going to have the same exact year. Curry's great, Klay Thompson great, Hall of Famers, all that kind of stuff. Curry's probably the best, most fun player to watch in the NBA. But without Draymond Green, you are absolutely not winning anything. Hey, before I go, and we're going to have Seth Greenberg coming up, and we're going to talk about the firings and how good his government does, the local school board, the local city council, the local mayor, the local yokel, decides we're going to put these illegal immigrants in the gym of your school during school hours. Let's see this video here of the kids not being really very happy about it.
We support asylum seekers not on school grounds. We support asylum seekers not on school grounds. We support asylum seekers not on school grounds. You support asylum.
Here we go again. An attack on kids. So you're telling me, kids, whatever grade you think those kids are, 6th grade, 5th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 4th grade, whatever they are, have got to stand outside their own freaking school with signs to get dudes and ladies that are in the country illegally off school property so they can have recess. You see, we need recess. It's unbelievable what this Biden guy has done to this country. It's unbelievable what this administration. Think about that for just a second. Think about it. Your kid goes to school for what? Reading, writing, arithmetic, and recessing. That's what he does. She does. That's what you do. You go there for reading, writing, arithmetic, and learning. It's a little bit of recess. But you got Jose or you got whoever from where? Mexico? Brought there by a cartel? Brought there by China? Brought there by who? Sitting in your gym? And kids can't play in their own school. Schools used to be a safe space. Now we got schools teaching kids, hey, look, you might be a dude. I know, Sally, you might be a boy. Let's talk about it. Hey, Jimmy, you're looking kind of effeminate. You seem like you don't like to play with trucks. You might be a girl. That's what we got in school. In schools. Look, Trump wasn't wrong. You can get mad at me all you want. You can call me racist. You can call whatever. But the facts dictate we've got the worst of the worst coming in to our country. Jails in Venezuela are emptied out, and all those folks are coming into the United States. And now don't violate their learning space. Now we're going to put these guys in schools. It is the level of stupid is fascinating. I mean, the level of stupid, the level of dangerous, the level of awfulness by this administration is ridiculous. Last thing, the NFL's being smart. Look, streaming's where it's at, baby, and Peacock is going to host an NFL game. I don't know. Look, I don't like Peacock because when I watch 30 Rock, I gotta look at commercials. I like Peacock otherwise. Peacock's fine. I got no problem with any of it. But I don't want to sift through commercials. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to sift through them. I just want to watch. So an NFL playoff game is going to go on Peacock. I'm going to tell you something. Remember, you heard it here. What's the date today? The hell's the date today? 17th of May. John Skipper, who was the head of ESPN, now he's the head of whatever Lebitard's on. John Skipper broached the subject of a pay-per-view Super Bowl. Don't think that's not coming. Don't think that's not something that's in the works, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you. I'm not going to... Hey, look, you heard it from Burgess Owens on our show. The NFL is about one thing and one thing only. They're tapped out in the United States, so they're going to England. Well, guess what? They're tapped out or they're tapping out. Oh, wait a second, more. Now they're going to Germany. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if you don't see next century, or what is it? Not next century. Century's 100 years. Next decade. You don't see a Super Bowl that is pay-per-view. I agree with going back to something real quick. On Twitter, Streamboat says, look at the body language on Kerr when he gets into the depths of his opinion on Green. Arms crossed, head bowed. You're exactly right. No, you're exactly right. All right, Seth Greenberg, when we come back, we're going to get to the bottom of all these coaches' firings. What does he think about it next?
But recently, many people on the right have been accusing myself and Chris of being paid by the DNC, and we just wanted to come on and say that's an incredibly dumb thing to think. And look, if the DNC is handing out checks, we should be first in line to receive them, but that's simply not happening, and we haven't received a dime from the DNC. And we want to make it clear, we're perfectly happy to work with organizations that share our vision. So if someone reached out to us and say, hey, we're trying to make sure the environment is protected, we'd love to work with them. But we are simply not working with the DNC, and we want to reiterate that everything that's been posted on social media is public information.
Weird. Some quick research over Federal Election Commission data shows that actually the DNC made payments of over $210,000 to Palette Media, the talent agency that represents, you guessed it, the wannabe Backstreet Boys, Harry Sisson and Chris Mowry. And while I wish I could just continue to sit here and make fun of them and others like them because it's oh so easy, they wield a lot of power with young people, and underestimating their reach and their influence would be a mistake. As Republicans, conservatives, Trumpers, ultra megas, whatever you want to call us, we cannot ignore this, and we cannot ignore Gen Z or millennial voters any longer. If we keep catering to old people and boomers, we will lose. If we keep thinking the RNC strategy of just throwing fancy donor dinners for rich white people will do the trick, we're going to find out the hard way when we lose again. We must show up on college campuses. We must be active on social media. We must fight for the hearts and the minds of young people and meet them where they are, one app at a time. I've dedicated much of my career to that very goal, and y'all know I'm going to fight like hell to reach them, but I can't do it alone. Conservatives came together and tanked Bud Light sales by 26%. We should for damn sure be able to take that same energy and transfer it to our election strategy. If we lose in 2024 to Joe freaking Biden because we refuse to get crafty and play the game, we don't deserve to continue our existence as a party. So get your iPhones out, folks. We've got work to do.
You know, I miss Seth Greenberg. I do. I miss Tirico Benetti, Bart Fox, Scott Johnson. I miss Seth Greenberg. I do. Seth Greenberg, when I had a show in Indy, we talked every week. Now, I don't get to talk to him as much, and I'm not happy about it. The great Seth Greenberg joins us on the DL, but scrappy. What do you make of the coaching firings in the NFL or NBA? What are you making of all this?
Everyone wants instant. Everyone thinks winning is easy. Like, winning is hard. And you know what? A lot of times you can coach your tail off, then you know, and I know it. But you know what? If the dudes you're coaching don't fit, if the dudes don't buy into each other, if the dudes don't do what you want them to do, maybe you've lost your voice with your team. Or maybe the general manager needs to get fired because you put together a dysfunctional team. Because you know what? I mean, I get a kick out of Philadelphia. The process. First of all, for people to even use the word the process still, is the process never ending? It's been 10 years. Forget about the process. Here's the deal. You bring in another general manager. The guy says he sleeps in his office. Anyone who sleeps in his office is an idiot. Plain and simple. I mean, why do you have to sleep in your office? Go home, go to sleep, come back to your office. Or work from your home. But you don't have to sleep in your office. That's another story. But here's the deal. People have to understand you've got to put together a team where guys embrace roles, where guys fit with each other, where guys are winning players, where guys are competitive. And you know what? It's plain and simple. I give the Lakers credit. Right? They did a good job of putting together pieces that actually fit. Now that Anthony Davis is healthy and LeBron has a different role, they've made some good decisions. But, coaches getting fired, it's just the way it is. It's easier to fire a coach than fire your whole team. It's easier to fire a coach than fire a guy that's making $30 to $40 million a year. You're firing really good coaches. And maybe, you know what? Maybe, on the other hand, maybe it's time for some of those guys to, find a new landing spot to have a new voice.
You know, it is interesting because when Doc Rivers just gets fired, he's kind of the modern Larry Brown. He's been from here to there. Monty Williams' deal surprised me, but in both cases, Seth, and I want to go back to something you said. Here comes Kevin Durant, high-priced guy. Matt Ishbia is a great dude by all accounts, but he's the new owner. Maybe both of those guys are going to work together. Here we got James Harden making $35.5 million saying that his relationship with Rivers is just okay. To your point, stars matter in the NBA, and it's not like college. In NBA, you got to fit the star, don't you?
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it. And let's use the Sixers as an example. I don't want to trash it. Joel Embiid, he was player of the year this year, and he's really, really talented. but it's always something with Joel Embiid. It's just there's always something. Tobias Harris, I love Tobias Harris as a person. I don't think he's tough enough to win the big games. I just don't think so. He's talented, he's skilled, can make a shot. I just don't think he's tough enough. Tyrese Maxey is going to be a star. I think PJ Tucker was a good acquisition. But in the end, when your best players don't show up or it looks like they actually stop competing, is that the coach's fault or is that basically the chemistry and the character of your team?
You tell me.
I think it's the chemistry and character of your team. I think that, sometimes, and we've had teams like this, Dan, the messaging stays consistent. The messaging stays consistent. The preparation stays consistent. What we need to do, how we need to do is, but you know what? If guys that's not who they are, and they've proven over a period of time that's not who they are, that's not who they are. So you can change all coaches you want. To me, you've got to change the identity of your team. And to change the identity of your team, maybe you have to make some tough decisions. Let me ask you this. How many people would pay and take for $35 or $40 million James Harden off the hands of the Philadelphia 76ers?
Boy, I don't know. It seems like Houston I honestly don't know. That's a great question. It really is.
And if you're Houston with all the young players you're going to have, is that the fix you think you want? Well, it'll get you to the playoffs. Maybe.
Hey, I want to, the only people that can understand this are coaches. I watched Steve Kerr. We just showed Steve Kerr talking about Draymond Green. He said an interesting thing. If he doesn't come back, we're not a championship team. Okay, but he also talked about the punch going back to the preseason, how that cost their team dearly in terms of trust. Can you talk about that from your experience, how something of that nature, player to player, can fracture a team, even the strongest of guys?
Yeah, look, trust is hard to gain. It's easy to lose, and it's impossible to regain. And once trust is broken, it's hard to get it back. You can say I'm, like Poole and Draymond Green. They're two different cats. Let's face it. That's just for Jordan Poole. He's a Michigan guy too, right? And Draymond Green's a Michigan State guy. You got an issue right there, right from the beginning. It sounds silly. Draymond Green is the ultimate spark. He's Tom's guy. They're connected at the hip. But that's not why. One guy's, has that one feel for how the game's supposed to be played. The other guy maybe is different. The other guy just got a big bag of money, kind of feel good about himself, happy for the guy. Look, played really well in the playoffs. But once trust is broken, it's hard to regain. Now, I have to say this, and look, Steve Kerr's obviously, I like the way they play, their off-ball movement, their people movement, their ball movement, pace that they play with, all that. You have these guys for a full year. You got to figure it out. You can't come at the end of the season and say, well, trust was broken after 100 games and we couldn't get it back. You got to figure it out. That means maybe trading someone. That means trading someone. But if you can't fix it, that's what you get paid for as a head coach, to try to fix it. Look, I have B.B. Wall and Altron Jackson. I could never fix it. One of the things that just irritated me to this day, it bothers me. But you're Steve Kerr. You're Steph Curry. All right. You guys, you got to fix that. If you can't fix it, and then you can't use it as an excuse at the end of the season if your team doesn't play well. You just can't. It's easy to say, we never regained our trust. To me, that's an excuse. Well, you know what? Steve Kerr, you've won 4 championships, and that's great. And there was no guarantee because I think your roster was flawed. But don't come up and use that as an excuse. If it is an excuse, that should stay in your locker room. All right, and individual meetings, and then meetings together with Draymond Green and Jordan Poole and say, blankety, blankety, blank. Either this or we're going to have to make a change. And if you guys don't, maybe we get rid of both of you. Maybe we get rid of one of you. But you know what? The way it is right now, but I don't think that's one of those things where all of a sudden, like 1 second you say you maxed out. And again, I like Steve Kerr. After the tournament, said, well, we maxed out with this team. And then After the season, now you're going to say, well, the trust broke down, so it limited our ability to get where we want to go. Well, which one is it? Which one is it? It can't be both.
Seth, to your point, I've always said this, like, easy to coach when things are going well. Easy, right? I mean, hell, put it, and you take credit. Hard to coach, and that's the real definition of a coach when things are going crappy. We've seen coaches do this. We've seen coaches and teams flip the script, turn a negative into a positive. Again, I like Steve Kerr too. Steve Kerr's fine, but you're being paid, just like the players are, more money than you can make anywhere else, way more money than anybody in the wherever. You got to figure that out, and you got to get the team back to it. You may not win the title, but you got to get them back to the level that could win the title, is guess what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, again, I just say 100%. But I just think the biggest thing is, if that's the issue, that issue needed to be addressed. And if that's not the issue and you maxed out, then you maxed out. But it can't be both. But your job is to solve problems. I think Nick Nurse uses the term putting Band-Aids on stuff. You got to put Band-Aids on stuff. That's what head coach in the NBA does. Look, you've got very wealthy players that have a ton of power. It's not just the players, it's everyone else around them. They have multiple platforms, due to social media. So they have a great voice. This isn't 30 years ago or 20 years ago, even probably 15 years ago. I think that it's a hard job being an NBA head coach. 82 games, short period of times, a lot of egos, a lot of money, just a lot of stuff going on to keep your team in a good place. Then you have an incident to start the season, but that happened in October. It's April. It's May. That happened in October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. If it's not fixed now, you got to make a trade. How are you going to fix it? If it's not fixed now, how are you going to fix it?
I don't know. Somebody got to go. Somebody's got to go. But it can't be Curry. It can't be Klay Thompson. It can't be Looney. You got to have the adults in the room stay on the team. Seth, I got to ask you, yesterday on ESPN, they talked about Victor Wembanyama is the greatest, maybe the greatest prospect in the history of team sports. That's pretty good praise. Your mind, how good is he?
He's really good. I mean, now look, he's thin, but he plays stronger than what his body looks like. His skill set is incredible. He's got bounce where, like Porzingis didn't have the bounce that this dude has. He's got handles. He is special. Now, having said that, I still think there's going to be a transition period. I mean, I'll tell you the thing that's most impressed to me is how poised he was. Look, you got to understand now, he's been playing with men since what, 16? Right? He has not been enabled. He has not been through EYBL. He has not been through changing AAU teams. He has not been through everything that we go through. Some in the culture of our USA basketball. It's just different. There's so much more accountability, I think, because you're with a team year long. Let's face it. I mean, you think a high school player today, he's got his workout guy, he's got his high school or prep school team, then he's got his AAU team, then he's got maybe USA basketball if he's a great player. I think about the number of different people that are pulling at a player, a really talented player in our country. Right? He's been a pro since he's 16. He's been coached by and been around men. He's been held accountable like an adult. I think it's a little different. But yeah, his talent is undeniable. I think, it's interesting that he's going to play for Pop. That'll be interesting. Obviously, I think Tim Duncan's still on that staff. They must, you think about David Robinson, Tim Duncan and Marvin Young. That seriously, how does that happen? Conspiracy. Conspiracy. Got to be conspiracy. There's no doubt about it. The Spurs conspiracy. I'm starting it right now.
Hey, I'm not doubting you. I'm up for a good conspiracy theory. I'm up for Patrick Ewing. The card was cold back in 1985. The Knicks card was cold or bent or whatever it was back in '85, brother. I'm all in on those things.
I'm all for as long as Patrick ended up a Knick, I'm all for it.
I know. That's the same thing David Stern said. As long as Patrick Ewing ends up a Knick, I'm all for it. That's
exactly.
Hey, Nikola Jokic, my Serbian brother. Give me your thoughts on him.
He's the MVP. Still playing, isn't he?
Yeah.
The guy's the most unique player. I think he's the most unique player in the NBA. They have an epidemic of passing on that team. They don't play like everyone else. It's not just one big ball screen. Ball moves, people move. Guys set up cuts. All those little dribble handoffs. They don't just come off it. You watch Murray come off of those quick hit and dribble handoffs. That dude is setting up because if the guy doesn't respect his first cut, he's backdoor and he's getting a leg. To me, a little bit like Golden State is they move the ball and they move people, and he is the facilitator. I love when he's just coming down the court, like handling the ball like a point guard, and then like he just slings it somewhere. I mean, it's like a joke. Knocks down threes, unbelievable passer, creative around the basket, gets his hands on some balls, gets every single defensive rebound, got offensive rebounds yesterday. And I love how people are saying I get a kick out of this because, again, I understand talk radio, and I understand, the shows that are on TV. Well, in the fourth quarter, the Lakers figured it out. Rui Hachimura, him on end and playing Anthony Davis as center fielder. You got to have multiple. Yeah, of course you're going to have multiple plans. It's like you have multiple ways you're going to guard ball screens. But you were down 21. Like, hey, you had a chance to win. Like, don't tell me like, well, Lakers got the magic sauce. They figured it out. Lakers feel good about themselves. I don't know. Yeah, they're in the Western Conference Finals. They should feel good about themselves, but they got spanked.
Right.
I mean, that was a clinic. And it's not just, so I think that like the Joker, he's different than any other player in the NBA. And everyone's going to try to find a guy like him, and he's just unique because there's very little he can't do. And he doesn't overwhelm you with anything but his skill, his feel, his IQ, his competitiveness, the type of teammate he is. Who wouldn't want to play with that dude? Let me ask you this. Real simple. Name all the big guys in the NBA. All right? I guarantee you, every big guy in the NBA, some would say, I'm not sure I want to play with that guy. Who wouldn't want to play with the Joker? Maybe a good player that wouldn't want to play with the Joker.
14 assists last night. 14 assists. Ain't nothing wrong with playing with the Joker. Hey, Seth. Dane Fife chimes in.
Oh boy. Conspiracy. Get it? See? Get it? That's why he's a creative radio guy now. I mean, one of the great ones.
Who is, in your mind, I know a couple kids from the Ignite and all that, but who's going to be the first college basketball player drafted in the NBA draft?
My man, Brandon Miller.
Is he? Yeah.
Yeah, Brandon Miller. Like the end of the season, Brandon Miller was, he was overloaded. I mean, everything, the tragedy and everything that, whether he was involved or not involved or didn't know, whatever, it's a tragedy. Anytime someone's life is lost, and then, it's a tragedy. But I watched that guy up close. I watched him practice for a day and a half. I watched him interact with his coaches, his teammates, in film session. Then I did their South Carolina game right after everything that happened. And he's 6'9" with a 7'1" wingspan, a 40% 3-point shooter. He has a handle. He has all different ways to finish. He's a little bit Paul George, a little bit Kevin Durant. I think he's got to get stronger and a little more competitive in terms of when people are going to get physical with him, which I think he will. But I think he's really, really interesting. He's going to be number one. I think he'll be the second pick in the draft.
I don't disagree. I think you're absolutely right.
Over Scoot Henderson. Scoot Henderson's strong, but I don't see it.
Last thing before I let you go, I contend in my lifetime, now I'm not old enough to have seen Oscar in the day or Wilt in his prime. I'm not. West, I saw him, but I didn't, I contend the two best that I ever saw were Kareem and Jordan. LeBron's doing things at 38 years old. I know the GOAT conversations are stupid, but man, it's going to be hard at the end of the day to say that anybody in NBA history had a better career than LeBron James, no? Thank you.
I agree with you. I agree. Now, look, again, the rules are different. I mean, here's the thing. What would Michael be doing if the game was officiated like that back then, like it is today back then? Would he have played more years? He would have been impossible to guard, except when you were guarding him, of course. But, I mean, he would have been impossible. He would have been impossible to guard. But, I mean, watching LeBron, I'll tell you the thing about LeBron is after, how many years did he play in the league? He came in at 18, right?
Right.
18,
20 years.
Yeah, I mean,
20 years.
He has a joy for competing. You can say all the other stuff. Look, his school's great. There's some things that I don't understand, but I mean, he's done a lot of good. But the one thing is the guy loves to compete, and he's in love with the game, and he's lost in the game. He's lost in winning, and he brings people along with him. I mean, there's not, goodness gracious. He's, talk about take care of your body. I mean, think about the miles on his body. And at 65, 275, whatever he is. Here's my example. Look at him at 275, and then look at Zion Williamson. People say, oh, Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Hey, Zion Williamson, why don't you look at LeBron James and say, you know what, if I actually took care of my body, I could, and I'm not comparing Zion Williamson to LeBron James. But I do want to say one last thing. I did a deal on John Morant when he was at Belmont. At Murray State. You were still with us, and I spent a day and a half with him. And I thought he was the best teammate, nicest kid, most comfortable, genuine, and humble. And it makes me sick. It makes me sick to see what is happening to him. It does. I loved it. That I walked away and I thought, my God, here's a kid who's, nothing given, everything earned, worked on his game, loved his games, interacting with his teammates. We did a film session. All he talked about is his teammates. He never talked about himself. And it just makes me sick that someone in this kid's life has got to grab him and say, you're coming with me for the next 4 months and we're going to get this stuff straightened out. He needs to separate himself with anyone and everyone who is basically impacted in a negative way. And this is where, again, you look at the Memphis Grizzlies, do they have who's the leader of their team? I don't know. But maybe it's someone outside the leadership of his team that has to come and basically grab him and separate him and get him back to, maybe it's one of his former college teammates. Maybe it's Matt McMahon, who I saw Ja interacting with his kids, that it was kind of the coolest thing in the world. They'd be hanging all over his arms, big old smile on his face. But it makes me sick because that kid, there's a lot of goodness in that kid that somehow, some way, has been tainted. And he's got to get back to, I think, the essence of who he was. And it really, really bothers me. You know, it's not just suspending games and taking away in Powerade or Gatorade. It's more like someone's got to, you know, everyone needs a mentor. Someone's got to invest in him that has nothing to gain, that doesn't want anything, that just wants to get that kid back. And maybe it's him going and spending time with his college coach, for all I know. But, I mean, something's got to happen.
I just wonder if his father isn't too lost into stardom as well, because he's got a dad and mom. I mean, everybody's there, right? I mean, he's got a great family. At least I remember you talking about that. I remember talking to you when you were down there, and you're like, man, what a great family. And now they seem lost in this garbage too.
Yeah, the mom was great. The dad is, you know, I talked to the dad a good while back. And the dad admits that he's a blank up. But yeah, I mean, like, Dad played high school basketball with Ray Allen. Like, I don't know if Ray Allen's dad. I don't know who. I don't know who it is. But it to me, it's heartbreaking to me, because I know, unless he just totally faked me out. And then I saw him at Summer League that summer, and he came right up to me, gave me a big hug, and thanked me. And maybe I'm full. Maybe I just want to see the good. And I think there is good in them, and you don't have to be something just to be something. Be who you are. But, you know, like, being comfortable in your own skin is probably more important. But what do I know? I mean, I'm not with him every day, but I mean, the kid I met that trip to Murray State is so foreign from the kid, the man that, you know, is acting like this. It's just it's disheartening.
Yeah, it's sad. Get your knee fixed. Hey, man, great talking to you. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. It's fantastic stuff.
You're the best.
See you, my friend. That's our good friend Seth Greenberg. I miss talking to the great Seth Greenberg. I love talking to Seth. I loved hanging with his family when we were at ESPN. All right, I got What the Hell Wednesday when we come back. Dr. Daniel Amen is going to join us. Dude has 2 million followers on Instagram because he knows more about the NFL and concussions and Tua. We're going to get some NFL talk in. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, go to our YouTube chat, subscribe, and like. Let's go.
Welcome into OutKick the show. I am Clay Travis, your fearless leader. I am going to continue to argue that sports is one of the great unifying forces in all of American life. ESPN is a sinking ship. Democrats are now the party of the white, woke college graduate.
We live in a land of participation trophies.
You gotta lean into the turns. You really gotta lean into the turns.
When Leah Thomas walked in that first day, it got silent, and every girl was uncomfortable.
Very difficult to go back-to-back years in the NFL with the #1 overall pick.
I've been out of LA long enough to have forgotten that libs, no matter how ridiculous the scenario, are gonna lib. Another week of inflation, another week with Biden with COVID, and another set of losers to crown. People don't watch the WNBA on TV, in person, on a plane, on a train, on a bus, or on purpose.
The scary thing, Tommy, is in the history of this government, I've never seen them give anything back that they've taken.
Oh no, they never do.
And they won't.
We've seen coaches throw water bottles. We've seen coaches act like idiots. We've seen coaches slap other coaches. But I think if you're involved in carjacking, you're inherently a rotten human being. The level of stupid that sometimes gets on our YouTube chat just gives me a headache. You're born a male, play with males. You're born a female, play with females. Don't at me about it, people.
I believe this person is the greatest player anybody alive will ever see. How can you hate Derek Jeter? A guy's on-base percentage tells me his batting eye, and a guy's slugging percentage tells me if he's a threat. That's the kind of guy that throws a no-hitter, that effectively wild guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday. Adam Silver is shocked by the allegations. Not the allegations, the video of Ja Morant. Doc Rivers has been fired, joining, Budenholzer and Williams as fired coaches with really good records. The world is upside down as we know it. Illegal immigrants are now being housed in schools. The world is crazy, but that isn't all the craziest stuff that is happening across the country. I got a What the Hell Wednesday for you, ladies and gentlemen. Bump-a-da-ba, bump-a-da-bump-a-da-ba. This is smart. It's stupid, but it's smart. Let me explain to you. You know, in the court of law, all you got to do is prove reasonable doubt before you, ladies and gentlemen, are let off. That's all you got to do. And by the way, Harvard star Tegan Shaw and Allie Hefferly join us at 10:45. You don't want to miss that one. Anyway, reasonable doubt. What is reasonable doubt? Well, he could have done that. Well, something might have happened. Well, you know what I mean? Well, maybe. That's reasonable doubt. Let me ask you, Jennifer and Sean and Fan Pastor Man and all of you on the YouTube chat, does this next story qualify as reasonable doubt? A man was driving drunk. He's in Colorado. He gets pulled over in Springfield, Colorado. He was boom, 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 boom. It was 11:30 at night. He's driving 52 and a 30. The cop pulls him over. The driver, clearly intoxicated, decides to switch seats with his passenger. His passenger just happens to be a freaking dog. He just happens to be a dog. And when asked by the officer if he'd been drinking, he ran away. See, I think if he doesn't run away, I think maybe he has a shot here at reasonable doubt. Look, I'm a very good driver. My dog decided he bit me. Maybe I would bite myself. I don't know. My dog bit me, said he wanted to drive. We communicate that way. He's a comfort dog. You know about comfort dogs. So there he is. There, the pooch decides, hey, look. So what do? I let him drive. He goes a little fast. Why are you arresting me, officer? See, if you didn't run, if you just didn't run, you would get a DUI, no question. You're going to get a DUI. They're going to blood test you. Or you say, look, he's a designated driver. I don't know what your problem is. But once you run, you're kind of sort of to a jury admitting guilt. Like if I were a juror, I'd scratch my head and go, all right. So you're saying the dog bit you. Okay. You're saying he wanted to drive. You have that relationship. You let him drive. He sped. Okay, why did you run? Now reasonable doubt goes away. Do yourself a favor. Just all of this. Don't drive drunk. That seems, I don't know. That seems fairly reasonable. I think it does. All right, this is the crap we worry about in the United States. A city in Texas wants to get the record, world record, for claiming the most numbers of Kyles. So, the city of Kyle is hoping to bring together more than, look at that up there, a Tex Travaganza. Now, the city of Kyle, Texas wants to bring 2,325 Kyles to clinch the Guinness World Record from Ivans, who set it back in 2017. You get thousands of people with the first name. You clinch the record for the largest gathering of people with the same name. Currently, Ivan. 2,325 Ivans gathered in Bosnia, in Koši, Bosnia, in 2017. Kyle, the city, is hoping to attract an even bigger turnout for the Great Gathering of Kyles. It's going to take place during its annual Kyle Fair later this month. A call of the Kyles, Kyle Knezovich, on the city's Facebook page. Have you heard the call? The call of the Kyles. The time is near for the gathering of Kyles at the Kyle Fair. Kyle, Texas attempt at the largest same-name gathering, Guinness World Book of Records. 4 p.m., 21st of May, 2023, at, guess where, Lake Kyle. Answer the call and learn more at kylefair.com. So, it's the fourth time the city of Kyle has attempted to break their record. Now, there are strict rules for this. You must, first, those taking part must have the first name of Kyle. It also must be spelled K-Y-L-E. Variations are not accepted. We cannot accept middle names or last names. All participants must have the name Kyle spelt that way. Kyle of all ages. There you go. There are 11,000 people on the Kyle community on Reddit. It is a Kyle and Kyle enthusiast page. All right, there you go. The Kyle Fair lasts 3 days, includes music, rides, rib cooking. All Kyles that participate in the gathering of Kyles will receive a free t-shirt. There you go. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. The gathering of Kyle. Hey, don't cheat in fishing. You can cheat in college basketball. And you go in the Hall of Fame if you cheat in college basketball. You can cheat in college football. You can cheat on your taxes. You can cheat on your wife. You can cheat in any number of areas. We see it all the time. But don't cheat in an Ohio fishing tournament. Don't do it. Can't have it. Won't allow it. So, you remember the knuckleheads in the Ohio fishing tournament that puts weights in the ass of their fish that they caught? They cheated. Next thing you know, people turned them in. People wanted to beat the crap out of them. Well, those two knuckleheads who put lead weights in their fish, listen to this. They're going to jail for 10 days, and they're going to forfeit their $100,000 boat. It was the Lake Erie Walleye Tournament. And these idiots decided, Jacob Runyon of Ashtabula, which is way south, and Chase Kaminsky, no relation to Kaminsky Park, of Hermitage, Pennsylvania, decided to put weights in the booties of their fish. They reached a plea agreement, unlawful ownership of wild animals, and agreed to a 3-year suspension of their fishing license. Kaminsky also agreed to give up his boat worth $100,000. They got 10-day county jail terms, 1.5 year probation, $2,500 fine, and half of that will be waived if they pay half to a nonprofit organization that promotes fishing for children. They would have received $28,000 in prize money. How about this? These clowns were also investigated near Toledo last spring after being accused of cheating in a different walleye tournament. Walleye's big business in and around Toledo. It is. It's really big business. The walleye fishermen take it very seriously. You go over bridges this time of year when the walleye are running, and you see dudes, I mean, it is like, a river ran through it. It's big business. It really is. It's huge business. When I lived in Bowling Green, the Maumee River, I'm telling you, I wouldn't mess around with these folks. These folks are serious, and they should be. It's their thing, man. It's like out here on Geist, they have the night fishing contest. It's big business. It really is. And I applaud them. I do. Hey, look, you guys want to cheat? I just wish that not the NCAA, who is guarding college sports, would do themselves the same. Hey, man, you're going 10 days. You're trying to cheat. You're going 10 days. Yeah. You got to see this. A Florida man was arrested, listen to this, for throwing a piece of deli meat at a police officer, and we got video, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. We got video. Do we have video of throwing the deli meat?
It's not a debate or a negotiation, okay?
No.
You are now trespassed from the store, which means you cannot go in there anymore.
Okay,
Do you understand
all right,
that?
All right,
okay.
Come over here. Come on.
Okay.
You think I can't do it? I know.
Don't want to do
black
this.
belt in karate.
Okay.
A black belt in judo.
You understand you're
gonna be in a
trespassed
world
from the
of hurt.
store, correct?
I'll take and walkie-talkie.
Okay.
And I'll drive off in your patrol car.
Okay. You understand you're trespassed from the store, correct?
Yes, I understand.
Okay.
Now get that face.
I'm 12 feet away from you, not in your face at all. Okay.
Go ahead, arrest me. Arrest me.
Central 2nd Unit, Code 2.
Wait a minute.
No, put your hand behind your back.
Okay.
No debate. Put your hand behind your back. You're under arrest. Put your other hand behind your back right now. Put your other hand behind your back right now.
Okay.
Right now. Put your other hand behind your back. Put your hand behind your back right now.
It's mystery meat. We're not sure whether it was bologna, salami. We don't know. Hard salami, turkey, ham. You know, all the basics, roast beast. But the man whose name is William Bushi, B-U-S-I, decided to let the police, as you just saw, know that he had black belts. That's right. He had a black belt in jiu-jitsu, in karate, you name it. He had it. Guy in a smoke shop called the cops on Bushi after the man visited the store 7 times and was just going nuts, being an idiot, and he decided to throw some meat. Now, he told the officer that he was suing the sheriff and asked if he sued the port county in 2000. He wanted to know whether $250,000 that he was suing the county for would be tax-free. See, here's the deal. This is a quandary because clearly the guy has mental health issues. And as we saw in the great state of New York, if you do anything about it, some racist prosecutor or DA might put you in jail. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the problem is, ladies and gentlemen, but I do know this. He needs to be somewhere, and if jail's the place, then put his ass in jail. But you can't throw deli meat, I don't think. You shouldn't throw deli meat at police officers. It doesn't seem like the right thing to do. It just doesn't. I'm sorry. It doesn't. And if you're going to do that, then you got to go to the slammer. This is interesting. We got video of this too. Notoriously bad umpire Angel Hernandez has only umpired 1 game this year. Now, I was at the game at Wrigley Field when Steve McMichael, a.k.a. Mongo, on the let take me out to the ball, he was singing, and he said, no matter how bad the umpiring is, Angel Hernandez looked up to the booth, threw Mongo out. I was at that game at Wrigley. He's notoriously bad. He's like awful. And when you know a guy is that awful, but of course, he has a little bit of diversity to his name, Hernandez, you can't fire him. And he also has some seniority. He's been an umpire, it seems like, since I was in 5th grade. And I'm old. And in 5th grade, he has been a crew chief, but he's only done 1 game. It's been 7-8 weeks. No one's paying attention. The reality is this. Hernandez did sue Major League Baseball for discrimination. Of course he did. It's had to be discrimination for failing to promote him to a World Series crew chief spot for over a decade. He came at them with big-time allegations, so now guess what? Angel Hernandez is not umpiring. Good. Good. We got video on this?
So apparently Angel Hernandez retired and nobody's talking about it, or maybe he was forced out. I don't know. I do know he's only umpired 1 game this season. According to our inside expert Comdelius Maximus, he's only umpired 1 game this year and has been replaced in his crew. It's rumored to be this is his last out call. Now, this has all the makings of a very funny, juicy story. One of the most controversial umpires of my lifetime, retiring, fading in the distance, no fanfare, no love, a guy constantly in the center of conflict. Now he's just out of baseball. But here's where it's kind of messed up. Angel Hernandez sued Major League Baseball a number of years ago for discrimination because he could not be a crew chief in the World Series. They came back and said, you were actually going to be the crew chief in the 2018 World Series, but you screwed up 3 calls at first base that year in the ALDS, so you don't get a crew chief anymore. He'd been back and forth. This was a very ugly, contentious relationship with Major League Baseball. So now I'm excited. We get to answer questions. Hopefully somebody has something to say about it, because in the history of Major League umpires, like, this guy just does not fade away. He goes out with a bang. I want to know what happened.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, look, man, he deserves to go out with a bad call and a walk-off. That's what Angel Hernandez deserves to do. I mean, look, this guy's legendary for his horse bleep calls. And then, like everybody else in this world, it isn't his fault. It is, of course, the fault of none other than discrimination, a.k.a. racism. It can't be that you were just bad, and the fact that you've been in the league is probably because you are Hispanic. I don't know. It seems like to me he's been kept in the league for a long, long time because he's Hispanic. I could be wrong about that. That may be a bad statement on my part, but he's so bad, he's so egregiously bad, he's so obviously bad that it can't be anything other than that. They've been afraid to fire him, which is what happens in the world of sports. You get a guy, you're afraid to fire him. Speaking of fired, the news of the day, Doc Rivers joins Mike Budenholzer of the Bucks and, of course, Monty Williams for being fired with great records. Doc Rivers being fired isn't really a surprise. We all know when the star player don't like you, they don't like you. The other deal is this. The Spurs got Victor Wembanyama, who is a, quote, arguably the best draft prospect in the history of team sports. Now, let me go down the draft list for you, because I really didn't do it. The Hornets got the number 2 pick. The Blazers 3, Rockets 4, Pistons, then Magic, and then the Pacers got number 7. Look, I don't know that there's 7 players that I have seen across the country that can come in and do something for the Pacers. The NBA draft is one of the most interesting things. You know, NFL, here in Indianapolis, we get all excited because in the 5th round, we drafted a big old lineman from BYU, and we think he's going to change the future of the Colts. In the NBA draft, let's be honest, you get down to number 6, number 7, 8, 9, or 10, and you're like, crapshoot. Now, a lot of players, Donovan Mitchell being the most notable right now, Jamal Murray being the most notable, those guys become good players. But isn't it amazing the difference in the NBA draft and the NFL draft? If I were to say to you, your team got the 10th pick or the 7th pick in the NFL draft, you'd be like, man, we're going to get a good player. But I ask you, Brandon Miller is supposedly going second. I'm going to give you Scoot Henderson is a guy nobody's ever heard of. He's 19 years old, plays in the G League. Amen Thompson is a guy nobody's heard of. He plays in the G League. Jarcy Walker. Now, let me ask you a question. Jarace Walker. Ever heard of him? Played in college last year. Apparently, he played at Houston. All right. Azur Thompson is projected to go 6th. Ever heard of him? Cam Whitmore is appearing to go 7th. Cam Whitmore is 18 years old. You ever heard of Cam Whitmore? Played at Villanova. Anthony Black, 8th. Grady Dick, 9th. And Taylor Hendricks. Give you $1 if you can tell me without looking where Taylor Hendricks played. My point is this. The NBA draft, it damn near don't matter this year. There'll be a guy that'll play well. There'll be a guy, other than the top 3 guys, there'll be some guys that are all right. Guys can always score points. But if I told you you had the 7th pick in the Major League Baseball draft, you had the 7th pick in the NFL draft, you'd be like, this is great. We're going to get a really good player. But historically, I'm just telling you, man, this draft, no good after about 3. And it might not even be any good after 1. Who knows? But we're going to have to hear from these clowns. We're going to have to listen to these 18-year-olds straighten us out, and I ain't paying attention. I'm sorry, I'm not. I'll help you out. I'll help you out with who the Pacers take. I'll give you an update on who everybody is, but I ain't listening to none of these guys. Victor Wembanyama said, I'm coming for a ring, so get ready. Oh, I'll get ready, Victor. Pat McAfee, I'm happy for you. Pat McAfee went to ESPN. You know, a lot of people are saying they're going to sanitize Pat. Look, Pat's not that dirty. Pat's a happy guy. Pat is the opposite of me. Pat makes his thing on being happy. And Pat's the best. I wish I acted like Pat, but you got to be you, right? So Pat has full content control. It isn't going to change how he does his show. He's still going to do his show over here, standing up in his tank top with the gold chains. He's going to follow Get Up on First Take, which gives ESPN somebody likable. Let me ask you a question. Like, in person, Jen Hale is really, really likable. She is a really nice woman. She is the moderator on Get Up, or on, Undisputed. She's awesome. I worked with her. All right. Is Molly Quorum likable? Is J.J. Redick likable? Is Jay Williams likable? Is Stephen A. Smith likable? Is Wilbon, Jalen Rose, are they likable? Is Dan Graziano likable? Who is there you're like, oh, man, I like that person. Oh, man, that person is likable. That person I like. ESPN doesn't have likable people. They don't. When I left, all the likability went away. Let's be honest. There wasn't anybody that you said, one of the things that I like that people said about me at ESPN is, man, Dakich would be great to have a beer with, and I'm not going to lie to you. I am. You have a beer with me, you know what you're going to do? You're going to be laughing your brains out for hours and hours, and I'm not one of those guys that dominates. I ask you about your kids, your family, everybody. There was a great article on me that said Dakich is the nicest, most hated person in Indy. Likability is important. And you can't name one person. Today I was reading Barrett Sports Media. I love Barrett Sports Media. It's really good. You should follow it on Twitter. So I'm reading Barrett Sports Media, and they're doing a whole piece on the upfronts, which is basically Disney/ESPN bringing out their people to their advertisers. And all these guys out there, Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Lisa Salters. You can't fire Lisa Salters. She checks all the boxes. L. Duncan got up there. Really? You want L. Duncan up there? You know what I mean? Like, there ain't anybody likable. Billis, likable. Herb Street's nice. Good guys. Nothing to it. But you go, oh, man, that guy'd be great to have a beer with. I think if we all went and had a beer with the crew from NBA Countdown, I think in about 5 minutes we'd be like, gotta go. You know what I mean? Now, if we went and had a crew with Shaq and Kenny and Ernie and Charles, we'd be like, hey, no, turn the lights on. Keep the lights off. No, don't close the place down. We're having a good time here. Likability. It's important. It is. I'm just telling you. It's very, very important. And Pat McAfee will become the most likable on an unlikable network. Monica McNutt. See, Tim Legler's really good on ESPN. Like, he's the best basketball analyst they have by far. But Tim Legler's a middle-aged white guy. You got to have Monica McNutt up there, a third team or second team all Big East women's player going, making faces. You do. That's who you got to have breaking down the NBA instead of Tim Legler. It's unbelievable. So good for Pat McAfee, better for ESPN. Lee Fitting runs all the football at ESPN, and Lee's a friend of mine. And I texted him yesterday, congratulations. And he texted me back, thanks, sir. And because, you know what, that's the regard that I am held at ESPN among the sir, because I was the best they had. There's a lot of bragging right there I just did. I'm not happy with me. I'm becoming unlikable. Don't become unlikable. Will Victor Wembanyama actually live up to the hype? No. I like Laura Rutledge. I feel like she's a closet conservative. Laura Rutledge is fine. She's fine. There's nothing wrong with Lisa Salters. She just checks every box. Name a box, she checks it. Nothing wrong. She's like Tracy Wolfson. You don't notice her. She's there, and maybe that's what you're supposed to be. I don't think Nicole Briscoe is still there. Maybe she is, maybe she isn't. Right, Molly Querim is a robot. She is. So we're just sitting here on the YouTube chat having at it. All right, there's a lot going on in the NFL, and you're going to want to hear from this next guy, Dr. Daniel Amen. We're going to talk about, hey, should Tua even play? I listen to all these guys on my television. I listen to all of them. And you know all I hear is? I hear supposition. I hear opinion from unqualified opinion makers. I want to hear opinions from a real doctor. And then, get ready for it, ladies and gentlemen, Harvard softball. That's right, the Crimp won the Ivy League, and we're going to talk to the great Tegan Shaw, third base woman, and Allie Heffley, the catcher. Tommy Lauren is fearless. She goes one-on-one with Matt Araiza. Remember him, the ex-NFL punter who was falsely accused of rape, of participating in a gang rape? Do you remember? I remember, and it's horrible. I remember, and the dude should sue everybody. I remember. I also remember that, ladies and gentlemen, there is no we always trust women. No chance. Not if your sister is a 25-year prosecutor. Not if your sister is someone that has seen numerous girlfriends, wives, spouses, whatever, lie. No. We trust facts here. So Tommy is going to sit down with Matt, and it's going to be spectacular. There's no reason to ever leave this channel, seriously. Once Charlie gets going with her show, then our show, and then you got Clay, you got the guys at Hot Mic, you got Tommy, you got Schilling. My God, man. Be right back.
One thing you'll notice is every pitcher will do this or this or this, and that's to get moisture for this, okay? This is rosin, and the rosin bag, if you can probably see this, it's coming out. There's a little dust, right? It's like a little fine powder. Of itself, it's not sticky. Like I have rosin in my hand, it's not sticky. However, the second I do this, when I'm sweating, I make the rosin sticky. That's when I go back to the ball and rub the ball up to give me a little more adhesion between my hand and the ball. Now, here's the thing. If you think about this, if I put a fine powder on my hand and then I make that powder wet that makes it sticky, any dirt that I come in contact with is going to stick to my hand, all right? So what you're going to see over the course of a couple innings will be my hand will start to darken because it might look like a substance, but it's not. It's just sticky rosin that has dirt in it. Now, I was a guy, so here's the thing. I threw a split-finger fastball, right? I did not want the ball to stick to my fingers ever. So I didn't want rosin in between my fingers. So I would wash the insides of my fingers between innings with alcohol if it got too sticky. However, there are other guys that throw sinkers, certain breaking balls, who will want the ball to be extra sticky, and they'll just let their hand muddy up. Now, the umpires can certainly say, hey, listen, you got to wash it off. That's fine. But they have to acknowledge that just washing it off isn't going to change the fact that it's sticky, because you go back to the rosin, you have more moisture, it gets stickier. Your hand's going to look dark no matter what, right? And if you touch your hat all the time, you'll see that Major League Baseball players' hats a lot of times will get dark under the brim or dark at the cap. Also, guys like Gaylor Perry that used to cheat, they would use Vaseline on the inside of their caps. They would use Vaseline on the inside of their bottom lower lip because it stayed there. And you see guys that used to do this a lot. That was what they were doing, and then they'd lick their hands. Anyway, so your hand's going to be, so Max's hand was clearly in a non-agreeable state to the umpires. He went back. I'm sure he watched it. But he came back, and you could see the way he was arguing. He didn't do, in his mind, he didn't do it. He followed their orders. He did what they said to do. And this ambiguous rule needs to be fixed and changed.
You know, I say this all the time. I don't want to talk to people that are guessing. I like talking to folks that are smart, or in it. If we're going to talk about a team, I want to talk about somebody from the team. Let me give you this about Dr. Daniel Amen. This is pretty impressive. I'm just going to read this, and my listeners and me, this is dumbfounding to us because it's too smart. Double board certified psychiatrist, clinical neuroscientist, brain imaging specialist, distinguished fellow of the American Psychiatric Association, New York Times bestselling author, named by ShareCare as the web's #1 most influential mental health expert and advocate. That's pretty good. What have you done with your life, people? Dr. Daniel Amen joins us. I got to go right into this. From a psychological standpoint, we've all had injuries. I had injuries, 5 knee surgeries. It's tough to come back. What have you seen a guy like Tua Tagovailoa with all these concussions? What's the psychology here with him? What's his brain telling him?
Well, the biology is your brain is soft, about the consistency of soft butter. Your skull is really hard and has sharp, bony ridges. Damage the brain, you damage your ability to be your best. And there's a very high incidence of brain trauma in NFL players. And I think they should be rehabilitating their brains as soon as they start playing.
What does that mean, rehabilitating their brain? How do you do that?
Well, I did the big NFL study at a time around 2007 to 2011 when the NFL was really struggling with this whole issue of traumatic brain injury in football. I've scanned 350 NFL players, high levels of damage, but 80% of them were improved in as little as 2 months when we put them on a rehabilitation program. So brain health is basically 3 things. Brain envy, got to care about it. Very few people actually care about their brain. Avoid things that hurt it, drugs, alcohol, bad food, and then do things that help it, especially things like hyperbaric oxygen therapy, the right supplementation, the right foods. Every day, you are making your brain better by your behavior, or you are making it worse. So if you're going to play a brain-damaging sport, own it, it is, then we should always be putting it in a healing environment.
What is a example of a brain food? Let's call it that.
So blueberries are, I think of them as brain berries. Wild salmon because of the omega-3 fatty acids. Colorful fruits and vegetables, especially leafy greens. But, our society is filled with toxic food. And, you just have to go to a ball game. And 9 out of 10 things they offer you are going to kill you early. So being just much more intentional about what we do, what we eat, another very important thing. So when we treated our players, their memory mood, motivation, and sleep were better. Because when you hurt the brain, it often hurts the ability to sleep.
Doc, we've seen, and we all know the term, the letters CTE. Has the NFL, in your mind, since all these studies, since the new rules have come in, new helmets, has the NFL done what you think is enough to combat CTE?
No, but they're better. They're way better than in 2009 when the commissioner was in front of Congress saying, we don't know. We're studying the issue. Well, now there are concussion posters in every NFL locker room saying, don't play with this. This can cause things like dementia. And so, but I still think they could do way more. They could be the leader in repairing brain trauma. You know, there are 3 million new brain injuries every year in the United States. Why I did my NFL study was because there's so many other people who have traumatic brain injuries. If the NFL would lead the way, it would help a lot of other people. So I think early they should be looking at players' brains and then working to get them healthy. It's way better than it was 15 years ago. So I'm excited about that, but we could be better still.
When you studied this, you obviously dealt with NFL players. Do you feel that the average NFL players gets this, understands this, or maybe is actually fearful of CTE or a brain injury? Or are they just guys that are like, look, I know the risk, I'm going out there? Or both?
Well, I think it's both. I think more and more players know the risk, and then you see players retiring early because for them, there's more to life than football. But I had one player sign an $80 million contract. So it's like, now I'm going to play. But he also bought a hyperbaric chamber and was in it all the time. And if you're rehabilitating your brain, if you're making your brain healthy, well, you play better because ultimately, you know, if you think of a quarterback position, it's decision making. That's a brain function. It's throwing a football to a specific place that you anticipate. That is a brain function. Everything comes from your brain. So the better it is, the better you play.
People hear the word concussion, all right? What does that mean? Can you explain that? Last thing before I let you go. Concussion.
Well, CTE is very different than concussion. CTE is an autopsy diagnosis. I mean, you got to wait till you're dead to get the diagnosis of CTE. We do a study called brain SPECT imaging, which looks at blood flow and activity. And I can see concussion, which is damage to a certain part of your brain. And if you damage it, bruise it, cause inflammation, tear blood vessels or neurons, it's going to have a lasting negative effect.
Doc, I appreciate you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
That's Dr. Daniel Amen. You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram. You know, ladies and gentlemen, you know how this goes. And he's a great follow, by the way, if you're interested. And we all are, because it's not just players, it's kids. It's your kid, my kid. You know, we want to protect them from brain injury. Speaking of kids, my stepdaughter, ladies and gentlemen, the great Tegan Shaw, is playing third base for Harvard softball. And those of you that are veterans of my show know that we always, that's right, always include family in the show. That's right, we do. So, Tegan is a stud third baseman. Allie Heffley is a stud catcher. Harvard softball is absolutely rocking and rolling. Harvard softball is going to Fayetteville. Harvard softball had to go into Princeton and win the Ivy League championship. And Harvard softball did all that, and it almost gave me a damn heart attack. Now, I contend that Tegan Shaw, the lady you see on the left, is at Harvard because of osmosis from my brain to her brain, making her smarter once I became her stepfather. Many people, including biologists, sociologists, and frankly doctors, and her mother and father, disagree with this. I say they're all wrong. Allie Heffley is America's greatest catcher. Nothing gets past. Think Tucker Barnhart, the lady on the right. Think Brooks Robinson. I've put out there many, many times that Tegan Shaw is the greatest defensive third baseman in softball. You will see it this weekend. Allie Heffley is the greatest catcher in softball. They join us now. All right, ladies, you're at Harvard. Sound smart. Let's go.
Oh, that'll be tough.
Hey, it is. Congratulations, first and foremost. All right. You had to go to Princeton. I don't know if it's for you guys, but for parents, it was a rivalry because I thought the Princeton folks were jackasses. What was your reaction as they're waving you off and then you had the ball, Tegan, at the end of the game? What did you do?
Oh, I think about the sixth inning, there was a little pop-up that I guess was coming towards third. I didn't really know, but it was kind of short, so I had to run in and grab it on the run. I just kind of gave him a little nod and a smile, and I ran away. Just to let him know.
Allie, is it true you were dropping F-bombs at the parents of Princeton?
No, but I may have muttered some to myself.
Because, let's be honest. That was a hell of a rivalry. It was. I mean, you guys, I know but it was that you tied co-champs of the Ivy League. You had to go to their place. You had to beat them to win the title. I mean, to me, you guys can tell me that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think especially after last year, we got second place to their first. It kind of fueled a little bit for us, for sure.
How difficult is it balancing Harvard with being an athlete?
Well, I got better at it as the years went on. Senior year, it's a little bit easier than freshman year was. Freshman year was a little tough.
Yeah, freshman year is a lot of picking classes, not really knowing what you're doing and trying to balance a new time commitment that's totally different than travel ball. And so freshman years are definitely transition a little bit of a struggle, but as senior year and the upperclassmen years happen, it gets a lot easier.
One of the things that I've said, and Allie, you guys can both address this. Tegan, obviously, your mom, coach, played. Allie, you've played forever. But there's no difference. You're non-scholarship, but you guys do exactly what Indiana does or Purdue does or Arkansas. You got 6 a.m. practices. You got the same stuff.
Yeah. It's a big time commitment, but it's super fun. But it's everyone on the team here, since there's no scholarship or anything like that, really, really wants to be here and really wants to put in the work. And you can definitely see that even just in the locker room or with the team.
Allie, when I played at Indiana, I took psychology, English, telecommunications. That's it. Give me the name, your most ridiculous name of a course that you're either taking or you took in the past to illustrate the difference between Indiana, Toledo, Bowling Green, and Harvard.
I mean, the standard one for economics that we have to take is econometrics. And that one's probably one of the most difficult classes.
So hard.
For the degree. And then kind of along the same lines, your sophomore tutorial that you have to take for that has so many different names. And mine that we focused on was developmental economics. So we looked at third world countries and how to help better develop their economies and boost their livelihoods.
Dan, you love mine, the evolutionary cognitive neuroscience one from freshman year. Who knows why I took that freshman year?
Say that again. Say that class again.
Evolutionary Cognitive Neuroscience was the full title.
I'm going to go on the YouTube chat. There's a ton of people watching. Something cognitive, what is it?
Evolutionary Cognitive Neuroscience.
Yeah, there you go. I guarantee you nobody watching this has even put those words together, much less taken a freaking class at it. All right, Allie, I got to ask. So, Riley, terrific pitcher. You're the catcher going in and playing a team that's, they're an 11th seed in the entire country. How much of a game plan can you get? How much scouting is there done, catcher to pitcher, on the hitters of Arkansas pregame or during the week?
I think one of our main focuses was kind of keeping the ball in the park. They're a home run hitting team. One of the girls, like 1 out of every 5 at bats she has is a home run. So I think really working, because Riley has really good spin on her ball and she really snaps it hard. So kind of really focusing on keeping that snap and that spin to really hopefully have them miss hit, maybe some pop-ups. They're going to be hitting deep fly balls, but kind of keeping it in the park.
How do you do that? Like, I mean, a rise ball pitcher, sometimes that's a problem. You see the picture right there. Allie's on the right with the great Anna Reed, who came in and just absolutely wiped out Princeton over the last couple innings. How do you do that as a rise ball pitcher? Isn't a rise ball a little bit susceptible to the home run?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just like the spin of the ball. Like it's moving at such a fast pace that it's going to get a lot of miss hits, especially with curveballs and different things like that, kind of hitting it off the end of the bat, or with that up spin, like kind of hitting the top part of their bat and not letting them barrel it up, having it pop up.
In the modern world of catcher, pitcher, and coach, correct me if I'm wrong, Allie, but the coach calls the pitch. You look at a wristband, you relay it to the pitcher looks at a wristband. In the old school world of pitching, the pitcher would shake a catcher off, which would in fact be shaking off the coach. Do pitchers shake off catchers in softball?
They do. We haven't had much of it this season. Our pitchers kind of are very confident in what our coach is calling and the scout that our coach has against the hitters. So that doesn't really happen very much, but definitely when we're inter squatting and during practice and stuff, our pitchers are still very confident to shake off pitches going against our hitters.
Hey, Tegan, like anybody that watches softball knows, particularly parents who pay medical bills know that third baseman and first baseman get very close to hitters. You're talking about a power hitting team. You're the best third baseman in women's softball, and I'll fight anybody that disagrees with that, and I got video to prove it. How close, or you ever nervous so close?
Not like, I wouldn't say nervous. I know that this team is going to hit it really hard, especially probably facing pitching that's a little bit slower than they're used to, so they're going to pull the ball. So I may be playing a little bit behind the bag for probably like 6 of the hitters, but I trust my hands, so I feel pretty good about getting the ball.
Let me ask both of you, because, when Tegan, you see her there, was a freshman, Lee and I, her mother, took a bunch of freshmen out to dinner. It was a Friday night. We're sitting there talking. They high-fived each other because they got to go back to their dorm room and finish a paper. Like, most college athletes high-five each other because they got invited to a great party. The fraternity let them in. We were hosts, but Harvard's just different, Tegan.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's the people here, and us included, are just, they're each, their own character.
Who's the most famous person either of you have met at Harvard? Not including me.
We had Gus Johnson in our religion class few weeks ago. I talked to him afterwards. I brought up you, obviously. Had to.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm trying
explain to Pete. Go ahead, Allie. Have you met Ben Affleck? Wasn't he on campus?
He was, but I wasn't in the science center where he was.
Jennifer Coolidge. We drove by. That was pretty cool.
Really? She was like Times Woman of the Year. Explain to people the 3 things you must do at Harvard to be considered a Harvard person.
Okay. One is called Primal Scream, which happens every year right before finals. It's like usually a Wednesday at midnight before it turns to Thursday. You have to streak around the yard. You run a full lap around the yard. So most people do that their freshman year.
Hold on, you do that naked. Don't downplay don't bury the lead here. You got to do it naked. Anybody can run around the yard, but you got to run, and the band is there. Am I right?
Yeah, the band is there. People are there taking pictures. I mean, chaos ensues. You just got to streak around the yard.
What else? There's 2 others.
One of them is jumping off of the walking bridge into the Charles River, which is a not very clean body of water, but it's fun.
Did you do it?
Yeah, I've done it. On the DL. Like, I don't think our coach would be happy that I did it while still playing, but yeah, I did it.
Tegan, did you do it?
No, not yet. So,
do you wear a life jacket or do you just jump?
You just jump.
Senior week activities.
All right. And last but not least.
So the third one is in the middle of the yard, there's a statue of John Harvard. And it's a legend says, not according to Harvard or its students, a legend says that, if you touch his foot, it gives you good luck. You get into the school, yada, yada. So obviously, what do? You have to pee on the foot.
That's my favorite. That's just because here's why. The statue is not on the ground. Like, you got to work. You got to get up, 6 feet up in the air?
Yeah, probably. It takes a lot of teamwork.
Allie, have you done that?
That seems more incriminating.
I plead the 5th.
I plead the 5th.
Tegan, you got a 5th, or are you going to admit to things? What are we doing?
I plead the 5th. I'll let you guys imagine for yourselves.
Yeah. Well, we all know pleading the 5th is an admission of guilt on this show. That's just how the 5th works here on this show, maybe. And the beautiful thing is, people, when you go to Harvard and you see the shoe that everyone touches, you can see so many people have touched it that it's like worn off, right?
Yeah, it's gold when the rest of the statue is gilt, or that's the same thing. Whatever. It's like darker.
Hey, put that graphic that we just had back up. Last fun fact, I believe there's a statue that tourists touch, and it's good luck. Yeah, you know. So next time you're at Harvard and you're like, oh, look at me, I'm touching the statue, and you got your hand on the foot, understand that there's DNA samples from thousands and thousands of Harvard students on that bad boy.
Maybe that's why it's good luck.
That's right. What have you, are you guys then, you see the tournament here. I mean, look, if you ever need tournament or you ever need good luck, this is the time. So is there a plan before you take the charter this afternoon? Is there a plan for a total team P on a statue?
No, that's not in the cards. Maybe coach has in the practice plan. I'm not sure yet. I don't think.
All right. But both of you have admitted, well, one has admitted to jumping off the bridge, the other to be determined. And both of you have admitted to the, what did you call it, senior scream? What is it, primal scream?
Yeah.
All right, last thing before I let you go. You guys have been there. You're going to 2 NCAA tournaments, two Ivy League championships, which is incredible. First off, congratulations. And yeah, this interview will be played at Christmas. In fact, it might be played at the team hotel this weekend for all of the parents as we sit there and drink the crap out of high noons. There you go.
You guys sure do have a heck of a time.
Allie and Tegan, I love my Harvard experience. I don't want my Harvard experience to end. My Harvard journey has been awesome. I'm just telling you. My journey, tremendous. What haven't I asked you that I should ask you about?
That's a great question. I mean,
it's what I do.
We covered some good stuff. Got game plan.
Yeah.
Our classes. It's pretty much all. That's pretty much all there is. School and softball.
Last thing, Allie, your father coaches at Texas A&M. Tegan, your mother is obviously a softball legend. How much impact have those two had on your career?
Oh, I think like a tremendous amount, more than I could even really recount. Like kind of just growing up around it. Both my sisters played softball, and having my dad as a coach for them, and then for me, kind of just made a huge impact and made it more special and really instilled a drive in playing.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, first off, just like the game itself, I love playing softball, and I think growing up, like, you know, I was in the dugout when I was in middle school, in the dugout of Syracuse, hanging out with all the players there, and they were just such like inspirations at the time. And now the fact that that's me is it's crazy. And so I certainly don't feel as old as they seemed then.
Right. That's amazing. Look, 60 years old is old as hell. I feel like a 23-year-old 9 out of 10 days. What are you, crazy? World is not. Last thing. Do you think having a parent that was involved, do you think it put you, as you went in as a freshman, did you kind of understand more than maybe other freshmen did because of your parents?
I think it gave us a good base to jump off of. I mean, with softball itself, I feel like I know the game incredibly well because of my mom, the lovely Ross Dakich. But yeah, I can't admit it to her, but she's the greatest coach I could have. She's given me so many tips that I use constantly, but you know.
Allie, did you feel a little bit ahead?
I think pretty similar. Like my dad's one of the best coaches that I could have asked for. I still go back home and ask him like hitting tips, and like when something feels funky with my swing, I still go back to him and ask him for advice. So I think that's just something that like is like I couldn't even ask for anything better.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations, both of you. Hope, Allie, you make it to our house this summer because it was one of the epic nights or weeks in the history of the Dakich compound. So, and we'll go no farther than that. Just thanks for I hope you come back this summer. Let's say that.
I plan on being there.
No, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Tegan. Good luck this weekend, ladies. Can't wait.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. That's the great Tegan Shaw, the great Allie Heffley. They Harvard softball play Friday night. You can see them on ESPN Plus. And then when they win, you'll see them all weekend on ESPN. It's Harvard at Fayetteville to take on the Arkansas Razorbacks in the NCAA tournament. And I'm proud to be Tegan's stepfather. I'm just proud to be in her life in a very, very, very small way. Her dad, Jim Shaw, great dude. Her mother, obviously, I love dearly, the love of my life. Her brother, Jared, awesome guy. So our family dynamic is a little different, but it's a great freaking time. And Allie is absolutely terrific. Look, it's one of the most fun group of people I have ever been around. Just sitting back watching how the girls at Harvard interact, how the parents of Harvard interact. It is awesome. And if you're looking for a team to root for this weekend, I swear to you, these women are great softball players, but they're even better teammates, even better people, and so are their parents. We're late. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you, Tegan. Thank you, Allie. Thank you, Seth. Thank you, Dr. Amen. Everybody involved. I'm going to be on Fox News at 3 o'clock. At 11:30, Kent Sterling and I are going live with two big brains to talk local Colts stuff. Everybody on the YouTube chat, can't thank you enough. See you tomorrow.